I was thinking about what it was that I really wanted to do with my talents and time, and I drew this on a little piece of paper. It was like a 5x7 piece of paper. It was a big cloud, and the cloud said, "Make an impact." And then there were arrows coming down, and it was blighted housing, and it was reclaimed wood, and it was providing that to the Omaha area and helping nonprofits.
We knew we needed a boardroom table, and this will be actually our first boardroom table, official boardroom table, so that's exciting for us. We had a staff member, Andrew Bauer, actually said, well, you know, Reclaimed Enterprises here in Omaha does some really significant and unique things with reclaimed wood. Barns, old logs, just repurposing material, which is really in keeping with the mission of Kaneko and creativity, and where we are, we try to be environmentally sound, and it's just a really neat way to look at repurposing wood.
Andrew and Chris talked to me about what they were looking for. It was really a boardroom table that was interesting, that was unique, and that could seat, 16 to 20 people. I told them, I said, it's probably gonna take me 2 weeks to design this. Then I went home that night and I couldn't stop, and I designed the entire piece that night. Came back the next day and then showed them what I had just to say, am I on the right track? And at that moment they made the decision. I actually created it with some of this wood in mind. So when I was working on that design, right after I got to the Kaneko and finished walking through and started, and it was forming a picture in my head, I walked out to our lot here in the back. I saw the slabs. I started to picture those, and not just one sort of rectangular rectilinear piece, and it started forming that for me in my head. And so the pieces were actually part of what inspired the design. It came from Omaha. It was actually salvaged wood by American arborists, and they slabbed it out for us. It was a large oak tree. I want to say it was around the Pacific, 100th and Pacific area of town, and somebody was expanding a house and it needed to come down, so they brought it to us. After we rough cut it, it went to Stu Peterson, who does a lot of work with us as well. And Stu is excellent at flattening slabs. He's got 30 years experience, and so we wanted this one to go to him. He and I met in his garage after it was delivered to go over the templating, because all along the way we had this 3D rendering of this, but I had to keep kind of letting everybody who was involved in the process know how this was going together.
I just like using, products that have been used before. Turn them into something new, something better, so it doesn't end up in a landfill. You can see the size this crack was in this top. Now, if that was left unattended, it would have eventually just cracked the whole side of the top off. So it was all bow tied together, filled with epoxy. And these Y marks in here, these are actually tree crotches. It's where the tree actually split apart, where branches came together. Once you put a finish on this, this will actually go completely clear. So you can actually see the depth in it.
This project went surprisingly well the entire way. We had a lot of people on it, but every single person did their part, and really without much difficulty. It helps working with experts and people who are very good at what they do, and no one person was an expert at everything we needed to execute this product. So having the flexibility to bring in experts for every component, even different parts of the metalwork and things like that, that was part of what made it easy.
This whole space is just flipped and reconfigured after every exhibition, and sometimes during an exhibition we flip it and reconfigure it. So the idea that we could have this board table, that you could have one long board table with a live edge on it, or you could have various tables, you could make it more of a square versus a rectangle. I think it will always be, it will actually become one of the permanent pieces of art that we have on display at all times.